Ever played football with fear? Yeah, we all have, and it kind of sucks when you step into a game and you're kind of scared or anxious, lacking confidence and fearful. Well, in this video, I want to go over how you can play football without fear, because guess what? When you play with no fear, you are a better player. When you believe in your abilities and you run at the opponent, if that's something you do, and you're in front of net with no fear, and you're just doing all of these things from a place of confidence and just empowerment in a sense, and not fear, then you're just going to perform better. So we're going to go over how you can start doing this. So let's jump right into it with number one, and this is to work on the fundamentals often. Nothing will drain your confidence and cause you to be fearful if you're lacking in any of the fundamentals. And this is stuff like first touch, your dribbling, your passing and moving, things of that nature, like the core elements of the game. And if you are not working on these or are pretty average or not that good at them, you're just going to be more fearful, because in just situations that come up all the time, you're not going to be confident in your ability. And so this is something I mentioned because we can't skip it. We have to mention this. You want to be getting better at the fundamentals all the time and incorporate it into your training. Just your passing and movement should be something you're doing all the time. Working on your dribbling, working on, taking up space, again, your movement, working on, just all your ball control, your first touch, working on game scenarios. You want to be doing that very often, because again, if you find you're lacking in these areas, that's going to play at your confidence. And when your confidence is being kind of chipped away at, you're going to play with more fear. You're not going to have that self-assuredness in your ability. Now, number two, I kind of just mentioned, but it's practice more game-like situations and scenarios often. A lot of players go into pressure situations or matches that are of a higher level, let's say you're moving up levels, with more fear because they haven't been in that situation enough. And if you're training under pressure, and I know a lot of players don't like to train that way because, if you lose the ball, there's a bit of like an ego hit to it, or if you're doing these things and making mistakes, a lot of players get really angry and their ego gets involved. But ultimately, if you do this and you work on these game-like scenarios and pressure situations, you start getting used to them, you start learning how to operate in them, and you stop fearing them. And so if you find, for example, you're scared to receive the ball under pressure, start practicing receiving the ball under pressure. If you notice you're scared to take someone one-on-one, start practicing that with someone who's actually trying to defend you and take the ball from you, who's pretty competent at doing so. And yeah, you're going to fail sometimes when you do it, and that's okay. That's a part of the game. You're going to make mistakes. But if you keep going at it, keep practicing it, and keep getting acclimated to that kind of situation, you will start to remove the fear of doing that thing. So hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, you've gotten something out of it, please hit that like button. Now we're on to number three, which is to work on your self-belief and confidence. And you may be finding that in so many videos I mention this because it really is so important. That fear will go away if you have confidence in your ability. Most players go into games with fear or anxiety, and it's normal to have pre-game nerves, but it kind of goes into the match with them and stays with them. They don't calm down, and they stay in that place because they don't have confidence. They don't believe in themselves to the point where they can tune into that belief, tune into actually, wait, I'm really good at football. Actually, I've done all this training that's led to me being this good. Actually, I believe in myself. If you can't tune into that and really feel that and really embody that in matches, it's going to be really hard not to have fear all the time, and you won't do things. Have you ever noticed that maybe you can do certain things in training, but then you go into a match and that same scenario comes up and you maybe don't have the confidence to do it? Well, that's because, again, that confidence hasn't been worked on or developed, but you can deliberately work on this like a skill, because it is a skill, in the same way you work on skill moves, in the same way you work on your finishing, your first touch, your passing, etc., you can work on confidence. Now, I have a program that will help you do this and help you master your confidence and become that player that truly believes in themselves. I'll link that down below. It's called Complete Soccer Confidence if you want to check that out. But one way or another, make sure you're working on just believing in yourself. It'll take you so far in this game. Number four is to bounce back from mistakes quickly. One of the things that will put you back in that fear-based place is if you make a mistake, which is gonna happen, by the way, and then you allow it to influence the way you play. And this is a problem I actually had for a very long time. I used to play really well, and then when I made a mistake, or maybe something that I thought I shouldn't have done, like I'm like, oh, that was so basic of a mistake, I would take myself out of the game, and it would take me so long to get my composure back. And when you beat yourself up for a mistake, you get into that guilt and shame kind of place, you activate fear. So the next time you go to take someone one-on-one, You're afraid to do it because you're afraid of making another mistake. But guess what? You're always going to make mistakes. Messi makes mistakes. The best players in the world make mistakes. The key element, the key component for them is they bounce right back up. Again, they have that confidence in themselves to go again and again and again. And this doesn't mean be reckless, but just bounce back from mistakes. If you have to get it out for a few seconds, great. Professional players do that too. They'll go like this, they'll do whatever, but they release it and they aim not to hold on to it, or even sometimes allow it to fuel them. And this is the habit you want to start getting into to really be able to bounce back from any mistakes that you're making. And number 5 is an interesting one, and I just want you to set the intention that you're going to play without fear. And this is kind of something that can be applied to life and not just football. But when you start setting intentions, when you start actually setting an aim for yourself, you'll find that you can get really good at following through on that aim. So if I go into a match, I'm going to set an intention to play without fear. And I don't like to do it from the negative. So I usually go, I'm going to set an intention to play confident and fully believe in myself, to bounce back from any mistakes that may happen. And I find that when I do this, I more likely follow through with that. Now, again, if you're very negative by nature at the moment, you might find that this takes a bit of work, but you'll be surprised by how setting an intention before games, kind of really visualizing your success, really going, this is the way I'm going to play. I'm going to do my best to stay confident. I'm going to do my best to do this, and setting that intention can actually influence the way in which you play. I know it sounds a bit strange, but try it a few times, really try this fully and see what happens for you. And again, I found that I play better when I set intentions of how I'm going to play, which of course, if I'm going to set the intention, I'm going to say I'm going to play confidently, I'm going to play as best I can, I'm going to, whatever it is I'm going for in that match, right? So get into the habit of setting intentions before matches, setting a focus, and see how it works out for you. Now, if you want some more things that are going to help you in matches, I would go watch this video next that go over 3 match habits that are going to make you an absolute beast. Not just average, not inconsistent, but a beast who's consistently putting in amazing performances. I'd go check it out next.